I used to think I was decent at multitasking, juggling emails, messages, phone calls, and random tasks without any formal system. Then one day, I looked at my calendar and realized I didn't actually have one. It was just a mess of digital reminders I kept snoozing, and a to-do list scribbled on a sticky note that kept disappearing under the chaos on my desk. The result: stress, scattered focus, and that nagging feeling that time was slipping away faster than I could catch it. That was the moment I started exploring a technique called time blocking. It changed the way I work, and more importantly, the way I experience time. I want to share how this approach can bring order and calm into a hectic schedule. Time blocking is all about deciding in advance when you'll do specific tasks, rather than letting your day drift into a pile of half-finished projects. It's not just about productivity, although that's a big part of it. It's also a way to feel more grounded in your day. You're essentially giving each task its own dedicated space in your life. Rather than scribbling a to-do list and hoping you'll magically find time for everything, you carve out windows for each activity. Think of it as an appointment with yourself or a promise to focus on one thing at a time. I remember hearing about an old way of scheduling that big CEOs used, some version of slicing up their day so they could shift from one task to the next with full concentration. But time blocking isn't only for high-powered executives. Anyone can adopt it, from students juggling assignments to parents managing a household. The core idea is simple. You look at your day, you map out blocks for meaningful work, errands, personal projects, maybe even relaxation. And then, during each block, you stick to just one thing. When that block is over, you move on to the next, with a clean mental slate. A friend of mine, Sam, was dealing with constant overwhelm at his startup job. He would start his mornings already half buried in Slack messages, phone calls, and sudden demands. He told me he was clocking endless hours, yet never felt like he finished anything properly. So one afternoon, we sat down together, pulled out a calendar, and talked about time blocking. I suggested he give each project at least a 1 or 2 hour slot in his schedule. No phone calls, no random chats, just pure focus on that single task. I also encouraged him to block out a short break after each session so he could breathe and reset before diving into the next thing. At first, he was skeptical, but after a couple of weeks, he confessed that he hadn't realized how many small interruptions snatched away his attention every day. By dedicating a set block to a task, he found the freedom to actually engage with it deeply. His evenings also improved. No more working late just to catch up because he was finishing more during regular hours. He said it felt like reclaiming a part of his life that had been slipping through his fingers. When I first started time blocking, I was hit by an unexpected benefit. I became more aware of how long tasks actually take. In the past, I'd optimistically assume I could finish a project in an hour or so, and inevitably get frustrated when it spilled into 2 or 3 hours. With time blocking, if I scheduled an hour to outline a presentation, I started noticing that it realistically took an hour and a half, or sometimes just 45 minutes. This awareness helped me refine my schedule so I could plan more accurately. Instead of feeling guilty when tasks overflowed, I learned to give them the time they truly needed. There's also a psychological trick here. When you commit to focusing on just one thing in a given block, it's like giving yourself permission to ignore everything else, guilt-free. Emails? They can wait until their designated block. Social media? It has a slot later in the day. Instead of multitasking and feeling pulled in every direction, you actually relax into your work because you know you'll deal with the other things at their proper time. It's liberating. Of course, life isn't perfectly predictable. Random stuff pops up all the time. Your boss suddenly schedules a meeting, your kid's school calls, or the internet decides to crash exactly when you need it. One thing I learned is that time blocking doesn't have to be rigid. You can leave a little buffer in your schedule for life's unpredictability. Some people label those buffers as contingency blocks. Personally, I just make sure there's some flex at the edges of my day or in the early afternoon, so if something runs over, I'm not left scrambling. The point isn't to create a perfect plan that never changes, it's to move from a state of chaos to a state of intentionality, where every hour has a purpose, even if that purpose is take a break or spend time reading a book. When I talk about time blocking, some folks worry it'll make their day feel too rigid, like they're forcing themselves into a strict routine. But what I've noticed is that having clear blocks can actually give you more freedom. It sounds backward, but when you plan to work on a task for a set window, you're totally free from the rest of the noise in your life. You don't have to second guess if you should be doing something else in that moment. You already made that decision when you set the block, so you can pour your energy into the moment without your mind drifting toward everything else on your list. Then, when the block is done, you can shift gears guilt-free and and move on. One of the biggest transformations I've seen is in how I perceive time. Before, it felt like days were just racing by and I had no say in the matter. Now I structure my schedule in a way that reflects my values. If there's a personal project I've been neglecting, like writing, painting, or just calling a family member, I can block an hour for it. Suddenly, my life doesn't revolve around only the urgent tasks that scream for my attention. It also makes me feel more aligned with what actually matters to me, beyond just ticking off a to-do list. I should also mention something about breaks. It's easy to forget to block off time for rest or reflection when you're trying to be productive, but those pauses are key to staying energized. I learned this the hard way. I once filled my calendar with back-to-back blocks: client work, research, errands, editing, more client work. After a few days, I was burned out. My shoulders were tense and I wasn't sleeping well. Then I realized I'd left no space to catch my breath. So I started inserting little pockets of downtime, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, where I'd walk around the block or stretch. That made a huge difference. I felt more balanced, more in control, and ironically, I got more done. Time blocking isn't a modern invention out of nowhere. It's built on a simple scheduling principle people have used for centuries. Monks in ancient monasteries had rigid schedules for prayer, work, and study. Craftsmen would dedicate a portion of the day to mastering a specific skill, free from distractions. In our age of constant notifications, it's like we need a fresh take on this old wisdom. The method might feel new because it's especially relevant now, when distractions are everywhere and attention is our most valuable currency. I also want to be honest, time blocking requires a bit of trial and error. You might underestimate how long certain tasks will take, or you might find that some blocks need to be moved around to match your natural energy levels. If you're a morning person, it's useful to schedule your most important work before noon. If you're a night owl, maybe you reserve early evenings for deep focus. There's no universal rule. The real power comes from customizing the technique to your life. My hope is that if you try time blocking, you'll start noticing a shift in how you connect with each hour of the day. It's no longer about racing the clock, but rather collaborating with it. You decide where your attention goes instead of letting the digital noise or random interruptions call the shots. And once you get a taste of that control, it's hard to go back to frantic days of playing catch-up. For anyone who's new to this idea, the easiest way to start is small. Maybe you block just one part of your day, like dedicating 9 to 10 in the morning to a single important task, with your phone on silent. If that goes well, add another block for the afternoon. Over time, you can build a full schedule that honors your priorities and your well-being. Don't pressure yourself to become a scheduling master overnight. The real goal is to find a rhythm where you feel present, productive, and most importantly, alive in your own life. I've seen time blocking bring more clarity and peace to people who used to be buried under perpetual to-do lists. It's not a magic trick, but it is a powerful method when you truly commit to it. It's a way to bend time in your favor instead of letting it melt away under a stream of random tasks. And in a world that's so quick to steal your attention, deciding deliberately how to spend your time can feel like a radical act. Thank you for watching and for being here with me. I hope this sparks a bit of inspiration for anyone feeling overwhelmed or anyone who wants to engage with their day on a deeper level. Time is a precious resource, and the more intentional you are with it, the richer your days become. Let me know if you've tried something like this, or if you decide to experiment with time blocking in your own life. I'd love to hear about the changes it brings you, big or small. Until next time, remember that each hour is yours to shape, one block at a time.